One of the highlights of the auction is this incredible Lily doll from the workshops of Madame Lavallée-Perron in Paris in 1865 to 1870. And this is from the Louise Hedrick collection, very, very famous collector who has been such an inspiration to so many people in teaching them couturier skills. And this is her Lily with her all wooden body and her original label on the front of Lavallée-Perron, and one of the costumes created by Louise Hedrick. The doll is sold with her original trunk having the Lavallée-Perron label inside the trunk and a complete extensive trousseau sewn for the doll by Louise Hedrick of the costumes that were featured in her book. And this book goes along with it, along with a personal autograph and message from Louise Hedrick. This is an absolute treasure. The doll itself, whenever you can find the Lily doll, she's such a rare, rare treasure. To find one in impeccable condition, even more so. To find one with the Louise Hedrick insignia, provenance, background behind it, and with her extraordinary trousseau of costumes. I hope you'll be at the auction so you can see. They take a complete table to fill. One of the mysteries of the auction is this unusual smiling Brew poupée. Very, very different. This was the model that was registered by Brew in 1872, but it was registered at that poupée. It's a lady doll. But wait, it's on the Brew Bébé body. Now the body has been restyled a bit. It was made a bit slender in the waist so it could accommodate itself to lady clothes. But it has the beautiful bisque hands that are wanted, and it has the wonderful enigmatic smile of the Brew Bébé. The painting is a little different than the classic Brew Bébé. It's a little stronger in the eyebrows, but there she is. Now, what do we know about this doll? This is so curious. Is this doll all original? What is the background story? Well, I have only seen one other example of the smiling Brew on the Bébé specially fitted body before. We sold it some years ago, and it came to us from an original owner in England. It had been a doll that had been presented at the time of the wedding of Consuelo Vanderbilt to the Duke of Marlborough in 1893. And that went to a really nice collection here in America. And now this doll came to us also from England, and here she is, same size, one size off. One is a 9 and one is a 10, but at the same body. Now, what is curious about this is there's no information or documentation on the background of the doll. I've started to wonder as I've gone along if it wasn't a special commission doll from the Brew firm with the Bébé body put together to commemorate the Consuelo Vanderbilt wedding, and perhaps this doll was not the bride. She might have been a bridesmaid. The other doll we had was in the original wedding gown attire. We don't have any background on this doll except to say it had been in the hands of an English collection who had probably had acquired it some 40 years before that. So interesting, intriguing, and whoever buys it gets a beautiful doll and the opportunity to do a little research and to see what else they can come up with. A wonderful opportunity. One of the highlights of the collection is the wonderful Humpty Dumpty Circus from the Keith Kaonis collection. An extraordinary, a group of pieces put together. I talked so much to Donna, wife of the late Keith, who many of you knew, about how he assembled the collection and what his motives were, where he began. And she thinks he began back in like the 1980s when he just happened upon one and became fascinated with the construction of it. Keith brought his background as an engineer into the study of these seemingly very, very simple pieces, yet were able to achieve great balancing poses and techniques with little, almost like not mechanical, but structural ways in which they were constructed. The weight of the different pieces, the proportions, the balances, gave them an opportunity to perform circus acts. And you can see that from the group you have there, from the balancing lady on the horse to the wonderful clowns that are performing various tricks. Donna told me how Keith would sometimes buy entire collections in order to get one piece that he recognized was a great rarity, and then he would sell the others. So he, over the years, was able to assemble these extraordinary pieces from the Humpty Dumpty Circus. This is one of the great American toys. It came out at the beginning of the century, kind of a background story behind it that is so fascinating, how the one man who had come up with the design of this had walked into Schoenhut's office and said, I have made this clown, I'd like to sell it to you, this piece, and you can have it. And Schoenhut originally, he identified what a great piece it was. And he said, well, let's make it and you can get royalties and things. He said, no, I just want to sell it. And he came up with a price, a very cheap price for it. And Schoenhut bought it and went on to create one of the greatest toys in American toy history. So many of the pieces here you will never see again. In the foreground is the very famous bandwagon. And I want you to realize how extraordinary it is for a child's toy to have been saved in its entirety with every one of the band players, every one of the band players' instruments, every one of their hats, their pieces, the horses, the harness, the characters of them, even the horses or even the glass-eyed horses, every piece of this. And when I was cataloging this, I'd never paid attention before to the design of the bandwagon itself and these wonderful raised designs of the chariot racers along the bottom. This has the original paint. Everything is just impeccable about it. So many other rare pieces he has. I learned from Keith's work and from Donna that the ringmaster, the earliest ringmaster, which was one of the earliest pieces that came out, is identified by his black jacket, and he was made for only 1 year. So I want you to think about how many of those you will never see again in your life or ever have an opportunity to add to your circus collection. The clown in the front with the red suit with the white polka dots is really significant and has a couple of the really rare features shown on him. If you see his ears, they have what are called by collectors earmuffs, and they're little pieces of red flannel where the ears would be. It's one of the signals of being one of the earlier pieces. And in the front of his tunic or his suit is this oval-shaped gold paper. Looks like kind of like a pickle, and that was on the earliest clowns. It was an insignia that appeared on the earliest clowns. You very, very rarely will ever find this again. So to find that, again, designates it as being a wonderful treasure. The wagon with the sideshow figures is a great rarity to find, and the choice of the figures on there are really quite interesting. It is Foxy Grandpa, the comic character, comic strip figure, which was so popular at the time that the circus came out. And there was a baby, and then there was a jockey. It's such an unusual combination of figures to be standing on there. If someone knows the backstory of why those figures were chosen, I would love to know. The tent, so rare to find the tent, and to find it with the side panels. And let's not even get into the subject of those side panels. Wow, talk about politically incorrect. It's kind of not going to make it today, except maybe the strongest man on earth would be acceptable, but that would be about it. But it really was all part of the charm and the excitement and the allure of the circus. And believe me, in Keith's collection, it's all there, and it's wonderful. We have other great pieces that you're just seeing around that we've left up here to show you. There are 400 lots in this catalog, and probably every one is special, is as special as the others. And I could have talked to you for hours, which I'm sure you're thinking she already has droned down enough, about every one of them. But just so many, like the cow with the shepherd boy from the wonderful, originally we sold this piece some few years ago from the Swiss Museum, and it had great significance because it symbolized the annual descent from the mountains. Evidently, the cows in Switzerland, when the spring weather came, the cows went along the narrow trails and they went up to the top of the mountains where the freshest grass was, and they were up there until August along with their shepherds. And then there was the descent back into the village after the grass was all eaten. And the shepherd would always be wearing his very traditional costume, and the cow that was the winning cow, I guess the one who weighed the most, was awarded his crown, and it was a great ceremony in the village. We have the little soldiers from Steiff, and they have such extraordinary detail. I wish I had shown them to you before. I'm going to turn around now so you can see. You never will find them with all of their backpacks and material on them like that. They are just so absolutely perfect. They're really important to have. Just a few of the other pieces up here to show you is the Raggedy Ann, which is from the original Love Shirley Temple collection. And to me, this falls in the category we always talk about of dreaming of the ones that got away. Many of you have remembered this doll from the time when we sold it at that famous Shirley Temple auction, along with her original photographs of Shirley playing with the doll and the original whole set of Raggedy Ann books that belonged to Shirley, all of them having original inscriptions from the author, including the one with on the camel with the best inscription I think has ever been written on a book, and so many of us can get the meaning of this. Dear Shirley, I hope you never have wrinkled knees. And these are just wonderful pieces of things that you're dreaming of that got away. So many pieces that you have never seen before. An extraordinary collection, a catalog of the collection highlighted by the collection of 4 important and very serious researchers and collectors. Please join us, and I will look so forward to seeing all of you again, and good thoughts to you all.